Be honest. You hate black people, don't you?
Ugh, fuck. Another SJW.
Shut the fuck up for the 50th billionth time!
You're fucking a white male!
This is the Booze and Bullshit Show. Shit happens, and we make fun of it.
Thanks, Mario, I guess.
So you remember those lovely questions that BuzzFeed had for us white people? Well, you know what? There's this one group who said that they didn't ask the questions that black people really needed to have answered. And as you can see from that teaser in the beginning, it's just as riveting.
Be honest. You hate black people, don't you?
No, I actually hate like 3 people in this world, and none of them are black, but I do despise a lot of the ideology that is prevalent in SJW culture. Yes, I hate how you are exploited for political gain. Yeah, I hate that. But I don't hate black people as individuals. I've met many black people that I get along with and I think are great, amazing people. The people in this video I see as either idiots or tools.
White people, do you know what gentrification is doing to black neighborhoods? Do you have any idea?
As a matter of fact, I do. So allow me to explain what gentrification is. Basically, it's when you live in a poor neighborhood and people are starting to sink money into it and it becomes an affluent area, which makes it difficult for the current residents to continue to live there. But honestly, I don't see this as that much of a problem as you do. Now, I understand that people live in their houses and they feel very connected to them, but it's simply a side effect of making an area better and more desirable. Yes, unfortunately, some people who have lived there aren't going to be able to live there anymore, but that doesn't mean that we should stop trying to make places better and leave places as shitholes. It's unfortunate that you can't live in your area anymore, but you can't exactly just freeze every single zone as like, this is a cheap zone, this is an expensive zone. The world is always changing. There's not really much of a solution for this, and it's not white people's fault because white people have been affected by this very much as well.
Why is being a former drug dealer a bad thing, but being a former slave owner totally okay in white America?
Well, the only slaves I owned were sex slaves, and trust me, no one wants you for that kind of slavery. I digress, that's a little bit of a different thing. But no, like being a former slave owner, yeah, I mean, no one living in America today is a former slave owner, unless they came from another country where they are legally allowed to have slaves. But in the United States, they never had slaves. I never owned a slave. My parents never owned a slave. Their grandparents never owned a slave. In fact, if you look at my history, my family is actually a part of the Underground Railroad. So we've actually helped you, if anything, if you want me to judge me by my ancestors. To put all this blame on current generations for what people did hundreds and hundreds of years ago is ridiculous. But being a former drug dealer, it indicates the individual person, not so much what their past generations have done. It'd be like, yeah, well, your great-great-great-great-grandfather sold drugs, so he's a bad person and you are too. That's not how the world fucking works. It's ridiculous.
Do you honestly think the structure of America is not based on racism?
Well, I mean, I think that really depends on what you consider the structure of America, because there are so many different ways that you can look at this. I mean, if you want to see the number of scholarships that are available, minorities have a lot more opportunities to get a college degree than white people do. And you can say, oh, well, white people don't need it because their family has money. Well, not all white people have money. It's just the way things are. So if you want to talk about the criminal justice system, yes, there are a lot of racist cops out there, and I think that's a terrible thing. And I am against police brutality in any case. But you're fed this narrative by the media that black people are disproportionately targeted. And I can understand you being outraged by all these black people being killed by cops, but the fact is that twice as many white people are killed than black people by cops. And the most deaths caused by firearms are typically black on black or white on white. You're typically found to be killed by someone of your own race. But you want to talk about real racism in America is black people are allowed to say whatever they want and not be discriminated against, whereas white people, our opinions are invalid because, well, we're white, according to you people. So I don't think that's a good justification to dismiss someone's opinion that you don't agree with. Skin color should be completely irrelevant, but it's people like you who are always blaming people like me for simply being white. I don't blame you for being black. I blame you for being stupid.
Do you really think you discovered America? Do you really think it's yours?
No, I didn't discover America. I mean, my ancestors did when they came over on the Mayflower, but Me? No, I didn't do that. So, do I think it's mine? Well, I think I'm an American citizen, but I'm sure you're making reference to how the Native Americans were here first. Now, let me ask you, do you think that Mexicans own Mexico? Because they did kill the native people there, and they're a lot more brutal about it. So you can talk about all these different countries that have been conquered by other nations. That's the way things have gone since the beginning of time. More powerful people take over the area. But I don't see you blaming any of those people. It's always white Americans that you are blaming for this shit. Go fuck yourself, seriously. This is ridiculous.
When I'm upset, I'm an angry black man.
Or black woman.
But when you're upset, you're just upset. Aren't you an angry white man?
I don't know, maybe it's because you have the same dialect of Tracy Morgan, who's always yelling about shit. I don't say, oh, it's an angry black man. Or, oh, it's an angry white man. I just say, hey, look at that idiot yelling there. But if you're asking for society in general, okay, so maybe it's because there's a common way that black people yell and scream in their dialect and how they act and behave. Maybe that's why people say that, or there's at least a perception that there's a commonality, and it's funny to see people fall into their stereotype.
Why isn't racism illegal?
Why isn't freedom of speech illegal? Well, the founding fathers of this country felt that there is a need of a free marketplace of ideas, and that everyone should be able to express their opinion. Well, it may be unpleasant to hear people say racist things. Everybody has the right to say what they feel and what they think. If someone says something that's stupid, well then, hey, you know they're stupid. Would you rather them not say anything and just secretly, passive-aggressively do mean things to you? I'd much rather know if somebody fucking hates me. You know how, like, black SJWs hate all white people? Yeah, I'd much rather like to hear you say that because now I know you're not fucking very smart. Freedom of speech is incredibly important in moving forward in society. Everybody needs to be able to have a voice, and to censor people is a horrible thing to do because you can discredit people by using ad hominem attacks that are completely irrelevant to the arguments at hand. And everybody has a different perspective, and the more perspective that you can have, the better it is. But SJWs, they don't care about that. They just care, well, is the person black? Is the person gay? Is the person any of these certain things on the list of things that we need to protect? Yes, then they're right. And that's not the way you should do things.
Why is gaining the black vote so important, but mass incarceration against black people isn't?
Because politicians will say or do anything that they think will get them votes. They don't care about these actual issues. They care about getting elected. That's it. They don't care about actually solving problems. If they did, they'd be a lot more tactical and smart about it. If they put as much effort into actually making the country better as they do campaigning, yeah, the world will be a much better place.
Why are all of y'all afraid of black people? I don't want your purse. I just want the same pay rate.
Oh my goodness, it's a black person. I'm not afraid of you. I'm afraid of what SJWs may do to the society, but you individually stealing my purse, well, I'm a guy, I don't have a purse, so no, I'm not worried about that. And if you can find any place in the United States that has less pay for people who are black than they do white, well, let me know, because we can sue them for a shitload of fucking money, because that's illegal. Oh wait, you're probably gonna say something like, yeah, well, it's always the black person as a janitor. Okay, well, the thing is, people are hired because of their skills and qualifications. So yes, being the CEO is gonna be a lot more money than being the janitor.
What are you going to do about systematic racism?
Who, me?
I mean, you.
Well, I want to make YouTube videos pointing out ridiculous, absurd things in the world and say why I think I'm right and why I think a lot of people are wrong. I care about people of all races, not just my own. And I despise hypocrites, no matter what race you are.
Why must you own all the media outlets? I mean, could we at least have BET back?
Now, I thought you said white people have the privilege of being individuals, but you seem to be grouping all white people in with the same thing. Oh, a couple of white people own the media outlets. All right. Yeah, they're rich fucking assholes, and I'm not one of them. I don't own Google. I mean, I'd love to do that, but yeah, I don't think that's really my cards. Your problem is you're thinking about everyone by what their race is, and I don't do that. I look at them based on their actions, and your actions are fucking retarded and hypocritical.
Why does every race qualify for reparations except black people?
What races get reparations besides Native Americans? Because I honestly can't think of any.
A long time ago, really not that long ago, you guys prevented black people from learning how to read and write. But why did you let them keep the Bible?
Because superstitious religious people feel it's a good message. and it also advocates slavery, so they much rather have someone just read it to them so they can kind of fill in all the little gaps that they want to and selectively tell people that this is what the Word of God is and that's their place.
White people, historically, you've never liked black people. But why have you always accepted black people's money?
Oh, I don't like that person. I'm not accepting money from him. Really? People are so fucking money hungry, they don't care where it comes from. If a company can make more money by outsourcing their stuff to make stuff in China, yeah, they're gonna fucking do that.
What does colonization mean to you?
Well, this country started off as colonies from Britain, so yeah, that's kind of what it means to me. It's where they have people from a certain nation go to another nation and then they control it. And they're still taking orders from the original country, which is why it's called a colony. Much like if we set up a moon base, it'd be a space colony. That's what it means to me.
You do know crack and cocaine are both drugs, right? Can you find out why Bill Clinton thinks one should carry a harsher sentence than the other?
Okay, and caffeine's a drug, so what's your fucking point? Because there are different degrees of drug and different severities, and that's why they feel that certain drugs should have certain restrictions and others shouldn't. Personally, I'm very open to having looser drug laws. I mean, I'm very pro-marijuana, so I don't give a fuck what Bill Clinton says.
Now this one is for Flint. When are you gonna arrest Governor Snyder?
I'm not from Flint, so I'm not as familiar with him, but you know what? He's a sleazy politician, and you know what? I think any politician should really be investigated to some degree because a lot of them have some really shitty shit that goes on.
So when we talk about slavery, why are you uncomfortable? It's part of American history.
Because it's something that we agree on, and you're putting the blame on me from something that happened generations ago that I had no part in. So, yeah, that's something that bothers me because you seem to think that it's prevalent today, and it just isn't. This is something that happened hundreds of years ago. I'm sorry that it happened, but I can't say it any more than that. And people don't like your fucking guilt trip that you put on people.
Why do you want to adopt the fun part of black culture, but not the true lifestyle of black Americans?
Well, first of all, I don't like rap. The closest I do to like black culture is that my pants do tend to fall down a little bit, but that's because I'm fat and I have no fucking hips, and it's just fat and it's just like, ugh. But that's a whole different subject, so it's not by choice. But you're asking why is it that people like the fun side of things and not the sad, depressing side of certain things? Well, people like happy things. They don't like sad things. That's how people tend to be. I mean, you go to a Renaissance fair, they're going to have some working toilets. They don't make you shit in a hole in the floor. And I guess if it's really authentic, they would. But most places, they don't. They want to do the fun things from all these different times. That's what people want. They want the fun side of things. They don't want the sad, depressing ones. Is that hard to understand for you?
I gotta know, why do you wear shorts in the wintertime?
I mean, the only time I wear shorts in the wintertime is if I go on vacation to like the Virgin Islands or something like that. But yeah, I don't really wear shorts in the wintertime. I don't know where the fuck this like assumption comes from. Like the other video was like, why do you kiss dogs in the mouth? Where the hell do these things come from? It's just absurd. Like, it's not even like a stereotype that I've heard. It's like, where do they fucking pull these things out of? So basically, to sum this all up, they're basically putting all the blame on white people for things that happened hundreds of years ago. And honestly, this isn't a good way to look at the world because you're essentially detracting the way people are today. You're putting the blame on them for things that they had no part in. And it really prohibits us from moving forward because no matter how many generations go by, you're always going to say, yeah, well, your ancestors owed my ancestors. And until we can get past this, we're not going to make progress. So this is the Booze and Bullshit Show. Shit happens and we make fun of it. If you like this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe for more content, and you can check out some of my previous videos, like White Person Responds to 24 Questions from Black People on BuzzFeed, and Listen Up Lazy Black Person, which is a response video to a video called Listen Up Lazy White People. And also, is PC culture taking away your freedom of speech? Of course it is. And if you'd like to support the show, you can buy one of my t-shirts, which is called Melt the Snowflakes. Essentially, these special little snowflakes, they really need to be held up to the light so that we can show how full of shit that they really are. It's the little things that we can do to help stop their bullshit.